Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this show runs through the ages. Sinners and saints, goblins and haints, but beware as they say we're contagious. Sick with the truth, we uncover the lies. We beat on the drums as they march side by side. Wake up, my dear friends, and smell that fresh roast. Last night shall no longer exist. You're here by yourself, but you're never alone, as we spin stories you'll hear in the mist. Reptilians and greys, we folk who stay hidden. Mysterious booms, archaeology forbidden. Stay away from the village, keep off of the moors. There's a lady in white and bloodstains on the floor. So sit back and relax, take the load off your feet, as we're here to amaze, entertain, and complete. You see, my name is John, and Stacy's here too, and my, do we have something in store for you. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow, with your host, authors of Till Death and Beyond, John and Stacy Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow Live Edition, and I am your host, John Edwards, joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we're finally back on here. You know, man, oh my God. Just sometimes, things happen. Everything except sleep, that is.
This is true.
Sleep doesn't happen very much. So, unfortunately... like today, for instance, I got up at 4:30 a.m. and had a full day of crazy with a bunch of crazy on the side and a little bit of crazy to go with all that.
A little extra crazy?
Yeah, I literally tried to take a nap a couple hours ago. It didn't happen. But I was like, hey, it's Thursday. You know what that means. It means we got to do this show, man. Absolutely, because we promised, right?
Right.
So, Thursday will be our regular night. For those of you who don't know, those of you playing at home with the special Paranormal Sideshow Home Edition.
Yes.
It's going to be our regular night. Will we deviate from that? Possibly.
Last time was my fault.
Yeah,
I wasn't feeling well.
She's a little sick.
A little sinus thing
But we had
going on.
We had other things going on. Thankfully, she's not as signy anymore. So
yes. I didn't want to be blowing my nose the whole time.
Yeah, you would not have liked it. You would not have liked it. She had stomach and other ailments, but she didn't have the stuff. So that's always a good thing. She didn't have the gimmick, right?
Right.
It's just been weird, man. It's been a weird couple of weeks. We did the Scarefest, live con. It was fun. That was good, and of course we got a special thing going up on that. I know that's available already, our whole thing there, but we've got a special deal going up for you guys from last week. So it'll be like a little bonus episode that'll come out with a little different intro on the front that we're going to do for you. But normally this is the thing, right? This is going to be your thing. And plus we'll have, for the patrons, we're going to have the show after the show.
Yes.
Which is just a little short snippet of us talking about whatever we want to talk about. But it's got something good tonight. Something I'm excited about anyway. I got a really cool list. I got the top 10 alien invasion movies to watch before the alien invasion.
Oh, get prepared. Good information.
Because it's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a false flag or something. it's going to happen more than likely. I think our chairs are like, for those of you watching on YouTube, our chairs are totally like off level here.
I think so, because I'm so not taller than you.
Stacy looks like the giant, but that's fine, man.
I'm just short. I
got the big black circles under my eyes.
And I have to have a high chair. That doesn't sound right.
She needs a high chair. I'm Johnny Sleep Dep. So yeah, come on.
Okay, it was good.
Johnny Sleep Dep's all right. I mean, I tell you, man, we got a lot of cool things that I've been trying to share this week. I'm going to get around to doing the memes again.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think
I like the memes.
People,
like
memes. People are a big fan of the memes, but so that I'm a big fan of. A friend of mine, it just shares some incredible stuff from the Conjuring House. And you guys, I shared some stuff this week on social media. He finally got the football to move in the basement.
I saw that.
It's pretty cool, especially if you watch him as much as me. But John Huntington, if you just look him up
on Facebook. You'll probably find it. It's John HUNTINGTON, or find the link I put on the Paranormal Sideshow Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow.
Yes, it'll be right over there on the side of your screen over.
And what is it on Twitter? Do you know that?
It's at Sideshow97.
On Instagram?
Instagram.com/John and Stacey Edwards.
Well, that's really specific there.
It is.
Yeah, you already know YouTube because you're here right now. I'm guessing that you might have that one. If you're listening on the podcast, though.
That's right. You don't see it.
So what would it be for them?
For YouTube, youtube.com/Paranormal Sideshow.
See?
It's very easy.
We're here for you. We are here for you. We're trying to get through and make sure we make it easy for you. Something else I want to mention, by the way. Speaking of Conjuring House, it's just conjured a thought in my head. So I don't know how many of you got to see it, but the Ed and Lorraine Warren special was on Travel Channel. Is that right?
I think so, yes.
It's on Travel Channel this week. Amazing. It's a really cool documentary. You need to go out of your way to see it if you haven't seen it yet. Just look that up and watch it. It's probably on Travel on Demand, I would guess.
I would think so.
If not, I'm sure they're gonna replay it. But yeah, the name of this show, it's pretty specific. Ancient structures that don't belong. And it's got an exclamation point at the end because it makes me mad. Because these things are beautiful, they're amazing, and it makes no sense whatsoever that we supposedly built these things. It just doesn't, right? Like you look at Ballback, right, and you see a man standing beside, I don't know, a giant pillar,
the biggest stone ever,
and you're like, I don't care if he had like dinosaur shovels or 5,000 friends. He wasn't going to move that. It just wasn't going to happen.
Everyone
right?
lift on 3.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. But so I was going to break that down a little bit. It's going to be a fun list to go through, and then we got a lot of cracking news. So it's going to be a jam-packed episode. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. We're going to be with you live if you're with us right now, and if you are, God bless you, because you not only followed like 4 different starting times,
right,
but like a week of not being here and all this stuff. So hey, I am good with anything we do have. Anybody that meanders in here, I'm going to share the link out actually while Stacy's telling you about our next appearance.
That's right, because we don't have to talk about CyberCon anymore because it's done. Go watch the video of it on YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel. You can hear our little lecture. And our next foray into the public is the Great Smoky Mountain Comic Expo. And this is in October 3rd and 4th in Newport, Tennessee. So if you're close, come on down, get a ticket. You just go to Great Smoky Mountain Comic Expo with hyphens in between every word. You can see it on the bottom of the screen there, .com to get your tickets, and it'll show you the list of all the guests that are going to be there. And they're booking some pretty cool people. Got some wrestlers. It's not a paranormal convention, it's a comic convention, so it's mostly actors and wrestlers and people like that.
Not many wrestlers. She just said wrestlers twice because I'm there. So Jerry the King Lawler's there. That's really cool,
right?
And so come out and meet the King,
right?
He's just fantastic. But man, there's a lot of good horror actors, and actually some you don't see very often around here,
right?
So you get some sleepaway camp action. There's some cool crap happen. Some Power Rangers there. They're even gonna have like a Bumblebee ripoff and all this good stuff. It's gonna be fun, man. At the very least, there is so many redneck reality stars gonna be there that you're guaranteed to have fun. Somebody's gonna die. There will be a murder investigation after this expo. I don't know how better I could sell this. If you've never been to Cott County, then you need to come to Cott County. You need to come down to Newport. You need to come where I filmed that Ghost Brothers episode, because it's that crazy, it's that weird, it's that insane. It's a freaking crazy place. I'm telling you, I'm giving the hard sell here because not only that, but you get to come and play with us, right? So come, be a VIP. You'll get some VIP-ness from us. And
wow.
Yeah.
That is not a phrase you should use often.
What, you don't want my VIP-ness?
Well, we're married. That's different.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't think
you need to be sharing that with everybody.
Oh, well, I'll have you know. Yeah, okay. So tell them about being a patron.
All right. So since we already mentioned the show after the show for our patrons, you can become a patron. And I know I have some information down here at the bottom, but I'm just going to show you some better information. Become a patron. You get a monthly live show, John and Stacey versus the Unknown, and you get access to our entire back catalog of podcasts, including The Haunted South and The Third Side and any other random things that we've done. We do a shout out to all our new patrons on the Paranormal Sideshow. There's going to be extra content like tarot readings from Raja and just anything we can think of to enhance the experience. And join us. It's only $2.99 a month. And we would love for you to be a patron. Support the show.
Yeah, and that's a good hard sell there, babe. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm signing up right now. So
good. You should be a patron.
I should be a patron. I'm a patron of many things.
You are.
I'm a patron of the Stud. I'm a patron of let's just say I'm a patron of many things. And I think those poor girls on OnlyFans need support too.
OnlyFans.
So
is that your patron?
Yeah, I try to support as many of those poor children that I can, trying to work their way through motherhood.
Right.
Whatever it is. It is terrible. It is terrible. You know what? I'm unapologetic and I'm just playing around.
Yes.
Because somebody controls the checkbook. And it ain't me. So I'll just let you know that it ain't me, babe. I'm not the one that controls that. But hey, listen, we got a lot of fun stuff upcoming, right? We got a lot of cool shows coming up, and things are actually getting back to a little bit of normalcy right now, which whatever the hell that is for us,
right? I
don't really know. But we're going to be able to knock a bunch of these shows out here very quickly. Looking forward to it. And and like I said, on the Patreon, if you want to get on there and be a VIP-ness yourself, then I just had to say it one more time. I just had
I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the last time you say that.
That is the last time. Folks, let me I'm just honest here. That is the last time I'll ever say it. So I'm going to
cut that out as a clip.
I had to say, come on, a little bit. Listen, this is going to be a killer list. I got to get to this list because this is something that infuriates me, but it excites me and makes me happy. All this stuff too, because I am so neck deep into this all the time. And like I said, this is ancient structures that don't belong. Does that sound good?
I guess.
Or do you want me to do the ancient aliens guy? Ancient structures that don't belong?
Or just fantastic, I guess. Yes.
Fantastic structures that don't belong? All right, so we're going to go to China.
Ooh. Is that smart?
Well, it depends if you're talking about ex-wrestler China. Or, of course, she's dead now. So, yeah, you don't want to speak
too soon.
Well, yeah, no, it's not too soon. It's been too long. You don't want to get on that at all. We're just talking about some bones, some abnormally sized bones too.
Oh, terrible.
That is terrible. You sound like Charles Barkley. That's
terrible. I'm a horrible person.
It's terrible.
All right, you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, here we go. First one.
The Great Wall of China. So let me tell you guys. It's an ancient series of walls and fortifications located in northern China, built around 500 years ago. Estimates of its length vary from 1,500 to 5,000 miles, depending on if you ask the husband or the wife. But an archaeological survey carried out in 2012 by China State Administration of Cultural Heritage suggests that the wall is more than double the length. Some 13,000 miles. So that's a big difference, right?
That is.
The first guy just totally looked at it and was like, you know what? I say it 5,000 mile. It's absolutely 5,000 mile. And like, are you sure about that? And yeah, it's absolutely. You want the measure? No, not really. So anyway, somebody actually measured it. And they're thinking it's some 13,000 miles, which is a lot of miles. That is a lot of miles.
Yes, for a wall.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of miles.
Good God. But anyway, construction of the wall began with the Qin Dynasty, 221 to 206 BCE. I got to say something. Now, did they mean they're saying it was finished in construction 500 years ago?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, it's already contradicting itself here.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, because here's the whole thing. It just don't belong.
It took a very, very long time to build.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yes.
No doubt. This is like the one piece that I actually did know about, and somebody getting my information here just completely fucked it up. It's we're gonna fire that guy.
Right.
It says Johnson. Yeah, you're out of here. No, you can't stay tonight. I don't care if it's late. Go. Go take that French bulldog too. Yeah. So anyway, the Great Wall is present day, almost a completely. I mean, it's the biggest tourist, attraction you can imagine. It brings in thousands, millions of people, and it's amazing. There's haunted pieces of it.
So I have read that supposedly there are workers buried in it.
Oh God.
But then I've also read that that's a lie. That was just like slanderous rumors that were spread or something. So I don't know if that's true or not. Is it true? Is there really? You think there's really workers buried down in the Great Wall?
I don't know. China's always taken care of their people really well. To this very day, I think that they put their human life as a very high priority.
Right.
They wouldn't do things like nail people's doors shut with COVID or.
Okay. I think you answered my question.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, and I completely trust them, obviously. So I would say that, absolutely there's probably millions of people in those walls. Probably. In fact, it's not even stones. It's little Chinese men all hammered in there in a wall. So anyway.
Amazing feat of architecture.
It is amazing.
At any rate.
It is an amazing feat of architecture. Why they just didn't walk around the corner of it, I don't know. I can't answer that for you. It's really cool that they had that wall, but if you're really a attacking army and you're vehement about it, right?
Right.
I wonder how smart the general had to be. It's like, you know what? This son of a bitch has to end. Right. I mean, it has to end.
And it does. I mean, you can totally just
at the very least, we could take a canoe,
get around the edge.
Yeah, just get around the very edge of it.
I really like this picture that's on the screen right now because it doesn't all look like this. Like, there's a lot of parts where you can walk on it like that, but I think parts of it are just crumbled or just piles of dirt now and stuff like that. I don't think it all looks quite that pristine anymore. They've got like the best picture they could possibly have here.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat room. Hey Chris.
Hi Chris.
Yeah, so the highest employment practices in the world, China. That should be their tourism video. Come to China. You may never leave. Not because you don't want to leave. Just you may never leave.
Shall we move on to the next?
Let's go. After I just lost all my Chinese listeners.
Yeah, all of them.
You know what? Listen, if they got out of China and they're listening, they're probably laughing.
Probably.
They're probably like, yeah, that's right. Fight the power. So next, let's go to something. Let's actually get this list going.
Okay. What's next?
The next is the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Oh, there it is.
Now, this one, this is kind of like doing a UFO show and starting out with, we're going to talk about Roswell.
Right.
Okay, that's usually when I switch it. As soon as I turn it on and it's like, we're going to talk about alien abduction tonight. First off, Travis Walton. It's like, really?
But you can't really leave it off the list.
Yeah, you can't.
Because it's amazing.
You can't leave it off the list, but you can at least say, I'm sure you guys already know about this one.
You can. That should be what's on the paper there. It should just say, you guys already know all about this one. Let's just show a picture and move on.
Yeah, well, my problem with and just not belonging, this is where we go with the Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as the Pyramid of Khufu or the Pyramid of Cheops, which is all just hyperbole, is the oldest and largest of the three pyramids in the Giza Pyramid Complex, bordering present-day Giza in Greater Cairo, Egypt. It's the oldest of the seven wonders of the ancient world, and the only one to remain largely intact. Based on a mark in an interior chamber naming the work gang and a reference to the 4th dynasty Egyptian pharaoh Khufu, Egyptologists believe that the pyramid was built as a tomb over a 10 to 20 year period, concluding around 2560 BC.
See, that's silly. That's like seeing a really, really old bridge with some graffiti on it and saying that the person that wrote the graffiti built the bridge.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what's going to happen in like 1,000 years. Class, this used to be the Golden Gate Bridge, as we have that in our records here. It was built by a guy named Marvin.
It says right here, Marvin.
And his homie Jojo. And this is where they built it and commissioned it by pouring their 40. So yeah, that's I never thought about the fact that maybe this was just ancient taggers. You know,
they're like, this is impressive. Does it have a name on it? No. Oh, okay.
Let's just carve it here. Maybe some dumbass 2,000 years from now thinking we built it. Yeah. So it's absolutely more than 2,500 years old, you know, or 5,000 years old. I apologize. It was built before 2560 BC. I believe this was, and you know, if I make any Egyptians mad right now, I really don't care either. I'm in that kind of mood. You know, fight me, bring it on. So what happened, in my opinion, is they were there, like they showed up, right? And they're like, oh, hey, look at that. Isn't that amazing? I wonder how that was even built. Well, I don't know. I'm dibs. I'm calling this. We built this. Let's build another one, but much smaller, because there's no way we can do that one. And let's keep building them, and let's keep getting worse at it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that just, it makes no sense, right? And just if you look at some of the amazing architectural feats that are involved in the construction, none of it makes sense. Just because it's absolutely ridiculous, some of the things that we will accept from the academic community, especially the Egyptologists, which are the shadiness of archaeologists. Like, there's archaeologists, and then you see like the Egyptologists like over behind a corner somewhere peeking out with, you know, a trench coat on and some sunglasses. It's just, to me, it's just every time they find something, I know they've already pilfered it. It's just like, you know, hey, we found 25 money. You know, there was 25,000 or something.
Right,
Or they're all cased in gold or whatever. And secrets of mankind. Whatever. I'm not trying to be salty about it, but I mean, come on, man. It's just too crazy to even think that. I mean, it's estimated 5.5 million tons of limestone, 8,000 tons of granite, and 500,000 tons of mortar were used in the construction of the Great Pyramid. So, you know, it consists of 2.3 million blocks, and they believe they were transported from nearby quarries. I mean, it's the time period, right?
Right.
So let's say you have one agreeable camel. Okay? One agreeable camel.
Is there such a thing?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm giving out of like 1,000.
Okay.
They had.
I'm sure there's an anomaly there somewhere.
Yeah, they had the one. And see, thank you. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going, Jimmy? Thank you for showing up, man. Appreciate having you in here. And yes, I do sound excited there. I have reason to be excited. Jimmy had, you know, he's one of he's definitely a VIP. I will not put the end to that.
Okay, good.
So we'll say VIP. And of course, going back to the chat room, we'll see minimum how many
150,000.
Oh, I couldn't see it from over here. I didn't want to get it wrong.
Yes.
I would say you're absolutely correct, Barry.
Much closer than the 5,000.
In fact, I now promote you to you are now the head of the Egyptian antiquities. So I would like to promote you over there right now. Hey, Kim, what's going on?
Oh, from Georgia. I love Georgia.
Well, you and Kim. So
parts of Georgia. I love parts of Georgia.
Well, I like Georgia when it's not like right now.
Right, and 9,000 degrees.
Yeah. It's just the heat. There's heat and there's Georgia heat. You know, Georgia heat where you peel your clothes off.
Right.
It's of course, maybe you get used to it.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just never did, unless I was seeing Braves games, which I absolutely grew up as a huge Atlanta Braves fan. Such an Atlanta Braves fan. That should be on this fucking list. I mean, just Sorry, can you edit that cuss word out?
I can't. We're live.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you go back and like wipe their minds?
Maybe, but let's not tell them that.
All right. So you guys totally forgot that right there. We're gonna go to the next one right now. I got to get out of these. I had to put these on the list.
Right.
I had to put the next one on the list too.
Yes.
Then we're gonna get to my favorites, right? So Stonehenge, it's got to be here. Like you're talking once again on a normal UFO list, and you get to Rendlesham, right? So you got to talk about Area 51. You got to talk about Rendlesham Forest. And that's just the way it is, right? So I absolutely love Georgia, by the way, and just playing there. So Stonehenge is a prehistoric monument in Wiltshire, England, 2 miles west of Amesbury. It consists of a ring of standing stones, each around 13 feet high, 7 feet wide, and weighing around 25 tons. The stones are set within earthworks in the middle of the descent complex of Neolithic and Bronze Age monuments in England, including several hundred burial mounds. The thing about this is, again, chicken or the egg, okay? Are we sure that, ancient people didn't find these and build, other structures there?
Right.
And that's some of the reasons you would find your tools. You would find, maybe your Bronze Age and what have you. Because if I was a hunter-gatherer and I was worshiping, woolly mammoths, if I came across this, I'd be like, oh my God.
Well, it explains why they worship at all these places, because you come across something spectacular.
Right.
You're going to be like, oh, I should probably worship here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
this is obviously something amazing.
Wouldn't that be great if we still had things like that? Like if we could still just be on our way to work one day and you just find something amazing, right? There's just a big old standing circle, like on all these stones and stuff. You're just like, you know what? I'm just going to stop here. I'm just going to stop here, call the wife, hey, babe, I'm going to worship for a while. I just found all these standing stones. There's no way I could have built these.
This is pretty weird.
Yeah, no way I could have built these. But I'm going to worship here, so they'll think I did. I'm going to leave my iPhone. And when they find it, they're going to be like, you know what? There was an iPhone here. It absolutely was 2020. It could have been 2010. We're not really sure. So we're good with it. So anyway, we've talked about Stonehenge before. You all know already because you're listening to me right now. We're going to go past this. This is just an example of some of the ones that all the examples of why it don't make sense. And Stonehenge is on the list also of every year, you can just set your clocks to it. Somebody's going to come out with a story. And it's normally something in the BBC.
Right.
And they're going to come out with a story. The BBC today explained how Stonehenge was actually built. Finally, the mystery solved. I don't know how many articles. Just look up mystery solved Stonehenge.
Yeah, Stonehenge mystery solved. You'll get them for every few years.
And just see if it's not like every year. So tell me what we got going on in the chat over here.
I'm not entirely sure. I think I missed a few of something about ramen. And
so if you're saying
there's some Stonehenge messages in there.
So if you're saying you're not entirely sure, then maybe we should just that's usually code. It's probably the actual curator from the Stonehenge Museum. It's just like sitting there, late at night. It's like, oh hey, they're talking about ancient. Oh hey, hold on a second. Oh, you can't just say stuff like that. It's a surprise, buddy.
I agree, Chris. I do think it was a place that was pre-existing, like the other stuff.
Yes,
and they've just repurposed it for their own.
If I was giving insurance for ancient places, none of these would get it because they all have pre-existing conditions. So
my favorite thing I saw this week was people write silly reviews on like travel sites and stuff, and sometimes they're funny. Sometimes people go on Amazon and write funny reviews for products, and there was a review for Stonehenge, and this girl got on there was like, I went there expecting this great thing and it was just a bunch of rocks.
Are you kidding me?
Why would anyone just go see a bunch of rocks?
What did they expect?
I think that was just supposed to be a joke, but it was really funny. Like, it made me laugh out loud.
Okay, look, it's 2020. I don't know if anybody's watched, the news lately. Right. Or some of the sense that's being trying to made on the world, which we don't talk about here because this is a stress-free zone.
That's right.
But yeah, this year makes no sense whatsoever. So let's go on from Stonehenge.
Okay, shall we move on?
We shall.
Okay, Here we are. Ooh, this one looks interesting.
Now we're getting into the good stuff. Daddy brought the goods. Daddy brought the goods. Now what I'm getting into is some ancient structures that I don't care if they say they were built in 1978. They just don't make sense. Okay? And the Chand Barori Stepwell is one of those things that does not make sense. This one bothers me. It's on my personal list of things that I study because it just bothers me, I guess you could say. You can take a look at this picture here. It really will do the justice for you. The Chambori was built 8th and 9th century, sometimes when they're saying, and has 3,500 narrow steps arranged in perfect symmetry. Again, look at this picture. If you are on the podcast right now and you're not watching live, then in your head, I want you to envision a bunch of steps.
You can Google it or something. You'll see a cool picture.
So they descend 20 meters to the bottom of the well. Centuries ago, the step wells were built in the arid zones of Rajasthan to provide water all year through. Today, the construction is not used as a well anymore, but its exquisite geometry attracts local and international visitors alike. About 64 feet deep, it is India's largest and deepest step wells, with 13 floors, and was built in the 9th century for water harvesting. The Bori is a precise geometrical pattern hard to find in this age. The Chand Bori has gained a reputation throughout India, not just for its beauty, but also for being one of the most haunted places in the country. One of the most widely told legends of the Stepwell is that it was built in just one night. It is told that the Stepwell to this day remains haunted by the jinn. This particular entity is said to prevent anyone from ascending the stairs in the same order that they descended them. Now, let me just say, one of the things that would prevent me from ascending the stairs the same way I descended them was the total number of stairs. They're just, I'm not even sure if it's something I want to try.
It's a baffling amount.
Yeah, and to me, it reminded me of when the spirits have communicated with people in the past. Like Winchester. Okay, you look at Sarah Winchester. You look at the Winchester Mystery House, and the spirits communicated allegedly saying, build it this way, pretty much to confuse the spirits. Okay. And this reminds me of one of those great feats. Now, could this have been made? Yes, absolutely, positively. But it's so beautiful.
Yes,
and
that's what I don't understand about it, because it's a well.
Yes.
To harvest water.
Yeah.
But look at it. It looks like a temple. It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, I don't know. This was one that just doesn't belong to me. I mean, it's, I encourage you to look into it more, and you'll see some of the greater things about it. But moving on a little bit here, my God, we've talked about this a million times. The Derinkuyu underground city. Okay, so we could all move in there, be very comfortable, have a good time, good life. Then you're going to stay pretty much, probably, what is it, 65 degrees?
Underground, it's that same temperature all the time. It feels really good.
Year round. I think this one goes down far enough that it might actually change temperatures. But, I mean, it's just amazing. And this one, if you've seen it chronicled in places and documentaries, it should blow your mind, because it's freaking amazing. The Derinkuyu underground city was discovered in modern times when a man found a hidden room behind a wall in his home, which after further digging was revealed to lead to an ancient underground complex 18 stories deep. Okay, so again, little difference in Turkey and the United States. All right, I wish I lived somewhere that I could be in my house and be like, I feel a draft coming from behind this wall. I don't know what it is, but that picture's just never hung completely correct.
Right.
I'm gonna let me knock this wall down. Oh my God! Look at that. There is a little city down here, honey. What do you think about that? Isn't that crazy? It's 18 stories deep.
I know. It's just, I don't know. That's crazy.
I mean, what the hell? Anyway, it was first established allegedly. Can I just like fit that in, or have a little button I push?
There's like an allegedly, like an understood allegedly.
Allegedly. It was built in the 7th or 8th century BC. The massive subterranean complex was built by the ancient population of the time to provide protection against invading forces. That sounds like how I explain sex to my daughters. This provides protection from invading forces. The hidden city is thought to have been able to protect 20,000 inhabitants for long periods of time, thanks to a number of surprisingly advanced, if crudely implemented, innovations, like, launching donkeys and stuff. The city descends 18 stories underground, deeper than any of the other underground complexes found in the area. Again, let me repeat that sentence. Deeper than any of the other underground complexes found in the area. Because that's not weird at all. Now, again, you're living in a life where, 15 is middle age. All right? And you don't have a very good life as it is. You don't. It sucks. All right? It just sucks. You make the most of it. And in that time period, right? In your big 30 years on the planet, of hunting, gathering, battling, gigantic, mongoose or whatever. During that time, you decide, what I'd like to do? I'd like to build an elaborate 18-story deep city complex for no real reason, because it's perfectly safe up here.
Right.
I'm just gonna build this, and hopefully nobody will ever find it. It just makes no sense, right?
Right.
So, obviously, they were hiding from something. I don't know if it was attacking invaders. I don't know if it was UFOs. It's hard to tell what it was. Maybe it was the gods. You don't really know. And, it could have been religious. It could have been something, like that. It would take something to that level. And that level of devotion really to get you to do this. You've seen it. You've seen the videos going through there. What do you think?
I think it's an amazing thing. And I'm with you. I don't know how they would find the time, considering they still had to live, to do such an amazing and elaborate creation. And I understand that they used it for, protection from invasions or sieges or whatever, but it just seems very, most people just built walls. They didn't dig into the ground and create 18 stories of rooms.
Right. And let me be clear on this one. This is one of the few that I don't think was built in another time period. Okay. I'm not really arguing the time period on this as much as I'm arguing why the hell they built it. That bothers me more. And they can say whatever, they'll come up with something, because they're like teachers, right? If you ask them, they're going to have to tell you something. So I'm sure they're like, well, the horses breed better 18 stories down. How did you find that out?
What made you even think of it? I don't know.
No, not really sure. So just to tell you a little bit more about it, because, my God, right? They say that the hidden city, which, of course you're going to call it the hidden city because, it was pretty hidden. It's thought to have been able to protect 20,000 inhabitants for long periods of time. And it was, it descended, like I said, 18 stories underground, of course, deeper than the other complexes. And it was fitted with thousands of ventilation shafts and waterways that provided fresh air and water to each level of the site. Now that is when in Rome, right?
Right.
There were rooms for stables, churches, lodging, storage, and the winery.
Of course, the winery.
Yeah, and lest the citizens become bored during a siege. So let's just get drunk. The city was protected by doors made of massive stone wheels that could be rolled in from the entrance, essentially making it another wall.
So it was really hidden. Right.
Today, over 600 entrances to the Derinkuyu underground city have been found in courtyards and private residences around the city. And that was that's one of my favorite parts, is, again, does that not seem like just the place you go to escape?
Seems like an awful lot of entrances to be a hidden protective city. Maybe they weren't all entrances at the time. Maybe they've become extra, like maybe something fell in or something.
No, I don't know. I really don't. None of us do.
It is a very large complex, though.
Yeah. And I mean, I would love to have one now. I agree with Barry on that.
Yeah. It would be a great place to just,
we could all crawl in there in a couple of weeks.
roll the stone over the door.
Yeah.
You know you're in there.
Just say hell with it. We got wine and horses.
What else could you possibly need besides wine and horses?
What could go wrong? So, I don't know. I like to get your thoughts on it. It's let us know what you think of Darren Kuyu, especially if you live in Turkey, because I love Turkey and I want to come visit you.
Yes.
So let's get married temporarily, whatever it takes. I want to come down there and visit for a while, like 3 years, just because, man. I mean, they have such amazing things, right?
They do.
Like a lot of times you're going to hear something and be like, well, this was unexplainable, amazing, incredible, and it's in Turkey. It's like the Kentucky of ancient antiquities. It's
it's all in Turkey.
It's all in Turkey. That could be their slogan for travel.
Everything's here.
It's all in the Turkey.
All right, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I like this one.
Do you like this one just from
do.
pronouncing this one?
I don't know how to pronounce it real well, but I like it. I know the story.
Why don't you give it a try?
The Halsafliani Hypogem.
There you go. You got Hypogem.
Does that sound right?
It does.
Do you want me to talk about this one?
I do.
Okay, so the Hypogem is a unique gem dating back as far as, allegedly, I'm supposed to say that, 4000 BC.
Oh, no. Allegedly.
The site is an underground complex made up of several interconnecting chambers spread out on 3 levels, located in the village of Paola, Malta. I can say Hypogem, but I can't say the place in Malta.
Well, I just want to know, is that actually is that the tribal way? That pa?
I have no idea.
Okay.
So excavations, which began as early as 1904, revealed a wealth of findings such as decorated pottery items, buttons made of shells, stone beads and amulets, and little stone carved animals and birds that may have been worn as pendants, as well as stone and clay figurines of human figures. And I believe they still have a lot of those on display.
I'd be more impressed if it was shells made of buttons.
Apart from these artifacts, the excavators allegedly also found the remains of some 7,000 human bodies. Apparently there's some kind of cemetery in there on the different levels, and they found a lot of human remains. A number of these skulls had peculiar deformities.
Why wouldn't you just throw those out? Go ahead.
A number of the skulls had peculiar deformities. Others showed signs of surgery, and stranger yet, several elongated skulls were found among them, causing a stir of debates and theories as to their origin. And these are those weird skulls that you see that don't have the joint along the top of the skull, like a normal human skull. It's called the fossa median, and they just were not present in some of those skulls. And I find it really interesting that a lot of them showed signs of surgery, that they were actually doing this sort of, brain surgery type stuff.
Well, I mean, it gets boring sometimes, So.
And one of my favorite parts
What's going on, Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie. So one of my favorite parts is the acoustic properties. The acoustic properties of the Oracle Room have been studied extensively by researchers. Anything spoken in that room is heard all throughout the Hypogem. And you can see that picture there. The place is huge.
So how many adulterers do you think got in trouble because of that? Like, how do you think they found that out to start with?
Like, let's go to the Oracle Room.
they're in there, getting their antiquity on.
Well, their antiquity. Hashtag antiquity.
Hashtag mommy daddy time, antiquity time.
Furthermore, some research has shown that the acoustic properties of the reverberating sound affects human emotions.
Well, I'm sure it does. Depends on who's singing.
So they're saying that the construction of the chamber was made in such a way to affect the psyche of people. I think they suggested that perhaps it made mystical experiences more mystical.
Yeah.
Because of the way it reverberates. And it said in this article I read that it's something that modern science has just now started to investigate. And the results of their current, experiments show that these type of frequencies have the ability to alter matter.
Can you imagine the first day they figured that out? And they're just like, Walters, come here for a minute. Mm-hmm. the damn cat just went insane. I was whistling. I don't know what happened. All its hair fell off and it started barking. Will you sit here for a second while we try some different bells? I mean, wouldn't you hate to be the college student that day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you know you're going to be the one.
The intern.
We're going to practice acoustics. I mean, I guess it's better than being an intern for Clinton, but I mean, it's like, at least you don't have to change your clothes. But I mean, it's still going to mess with you. So,
So it is an interesting thing for them to have built so long ago and to know how to build it in such a way that the acoustics work like that.
Michelle, you are absolutely correct. I'll have to bring you on my conspiracy show because that is absolutely true. They use it for crowd control, and maybe they did here too. You know,
right.
Maybe this was a political den.
Maybe.
And people start getting out of hand. They're just like, it was just
a little dude in the corner going in the oracle room.
Well, so as far as the conspiracy podcast, we were talking. I'm thinking of wearing a luchador mask and not using my real name. Of course, you guys will all know. Of course, now
everybody knows that it.
Well, I would tell these people. I just can't tell other people.
Right. You couldn't do something like say it live on YouTube or anything.
I'm going to be the Truthador.
I like it.
El Truthador. And I'm going to wear a lucha mask. And
there you go.
Yeah, that way I can just come on and I can do some of my Spanish. What are you laughing about?
No, I'm nothing. You do some of your Spanish. Do that Spanish accent you do.
I'm not doing the Spanish accent. That would be insensitive. I'm good. That takes cultural appropriation to a whole new level.
Actually speak Spanish?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
See. I can speak a little bit. It's good.
Okay.
All right. So maybe we should move on.
Let's move on.
This is mine because this is one of my favorites. And this one had to grow on me. When I first saw it, I wasn't. I mean, I was kind of like I was a little bored. I'll be honest with you. but the more I studied this one, the more it really bothered me.
It's very strange.
If nothing more than the climate that it's in, and in the location. Location, folks. You want your antiquities to stand out, put them in thin air. So, Pumapunku, other than having one of the most interesting names, that could be my luchador name right there.
Pumapunku?
Yeah. From Mexico City, Mexico. Pumapunku. You could wear like a little tiger outfit. The Pumapunku is a pre-Columbian archaeological site in Bolivia. It's steeped in wonder and mystery. The unique nature of the site raises curiosity regarding its builders, which were aliens, when it was constructed and its purpose. It might not be aliens. It's like underground reptilians or something. When an Austrian explorer named Arthur Poznansky performed a study on Puma. I knew how to say the last name. I just wanted to give it you know. Arthur, now I can't say his first name. Arthur Poznansky performed a study on Pumapunku back in 1926. He put forward the idea that it's one of the oldest archaeological sites on the face of the earth, dating back to at least 13,000 BC, which would be, for those of you playing the home edition, the last great cataclysm. And I'm not even going to say allegedly on that one. That's true. So archaeologist Neil Steed have discussed how the astronomical alignments of the main temple at the site do suggest that it was built to coincide with the summer and winter solstices and the spring equinox, as these events would have been seen 17,000 years ago. The most intriguing thing about Pumapunku is the stonework. The red sandstone and andesite stones were cut in such a precise way that it's as if they were cut using a diamond tool, and they could fit perfectly into lock with each other. Visitors still marvel at the geometric wonders of the matching 8-shaped blocks with approximately 80 faces placed in a row, and the precise cuts and irregularity of the stones, suggesting prefabrication and mass production were employed. Interviews with modern-day stonemasons have revealed that even with today's advanced technology, it would be extremely difficult to replicate the precision observed in the stones found at Pumapunku. And that would be with the best stonemasons, there is, and with the best tools. And you're probably still going to screw up your diamond heads,
True.
Many times. And it goes deeper than that. I mean, like I said, the climate, just the location again that it's at, it's just ridiculous. It doesn't make sense why it's there. Okay,
Right.
that's one big thing. But even if you go further than that, it's just incredible. It is absolutely intriguing and incredible and a mystery, and I truly believe it was already here. This one, of course, is so intriguing that they themselves are dating it, 13,000 BC.
I think it's even debated because the one guy was like 17,000, the other one's like 13,000, and some people are like, no, it's not that old. There's how archaeologists are; they debate on that sort of thing,
Right.
a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's older than they all say.
I think all these are older than they all say.
What I find interesting about this site is I really would like to know what else was there, because it's not complete, obviously.
Right.
And I would love to have seen it whole,
Yeah.
what it truly was. Because what you see is magnificent. I can't imagine what it would have looked like all in one structure.
I think about that with everything, with the pyramids. Can you imagine the pyramids when they had everything on them and just Egypt in its full glamour? That would be just amazing. Maybe we'll all get that chance.
It'd be nice.
CERN needs to get off their butts and go ahead and open that black hole up a little bit bigger.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, moving on.
All right. Oh, another one we like to talk about.
So this one I dream about. Not as much as I dream about our top one, but this one I do dream about, but just simply because I've looked into it so much. By the way, there's a good little series you can find on Amazon. I think it's on Amazon. It's actually a series that was filmed in Turkey. I think it's from Turkish television, but it's called Gobaka Tepe. So Gobaka Tepe is a massive ancient temple found in Turkey. We all need to go to Turkey because that's where all the cool stuff is. Built out of pillars organized into great stone rings. The pillars are decorated with intricate sculptures of lions, scorpions, and vultures. I got to tell you guys something funny about Ariana. This is just a little side note about my little girl. So last night I was talking about a scorpion, and I said something about a scorpion biting you, and she corrected me in only the way she can, and I created this monster, so I can't. She's like, well, it don't bite you at all, it stings you. I thought that's the whole purpose of a scorpion. And I was like, well, maybe I got a stupid scorpion that doesn't know about its stinger and it just keeps biting you. So anyway, that made me think of that. So like I said, the pillars are decorated with intricate sculptures of lions, sculptures, and vultures twisting around their sides, but they're more than just beautiful works of art. They're the foundations to the structure, holding massive blocks, some of which weigh more than 10 tons. 10 tons, boys, girls, people. But what makes Gobaka Tepe so unbelievable is that it was built, allegedly, in the 10th millennia BC, more than 11,500 years ago, and is the oldest temple in the world. The archaeologists...
The what?
Sorry. The archaeologists who first found Gobaka Tepe in the 1960s didn't think it was anything more than a medieval graveyard because they're archaeologists.
Wouldn't you hate to be that guy?
Yeah. Can you imagine the guy that's just going on the Turkish countryside? He's like, I'm funded, man. I work for, Columbia or Yale or something. I'm out here. I'm drinking my Turkish wine, and I got my little Turkish princess here, and his name's Jim. Just enjoy my time here, and somebody comes up to me, some farmer. He's like, I believe I found something. You might want to take a look, Mr. Archaeologist. And you go out there and look. You go, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's probably just a few graves.
Yeah,
no big deal.
It's a graveyard. It's medieval. No big deal. Maybe Arthurian, because we probably came all the way here.
Let's not waste our time.
Yeah.
Let's not waste our time.
So anyway, I bet that guy. You notice his name's not anywhere, right?
I'm sure.
Instead, his name is now the archaeologist. Jesus Christ. The old digger who first found Gobaka Tepe in the 1960s. That's his name now. So anyway, they had found a hill with broken slabs of limestone and didn't bother looking further. They had found a hill with broken slabs of limestone and didn't bother looking further. It just makes me so mad. I mean, what are you thinking? Seriously, what are you thinking? Sure, they were sure there'd be nothing more than a few bones laid to rest a couple of centuries before. And again, is the finds in Turkey so great? Are they so amazing that in the middle of a field somewhere, you find some limestone slabs that are broken up, and now there might be some, I don't know, medieval skeletons in there. No big deal.
Yeah, let's just leave them.
Nobody cares. I mean, they're not looking for them anymore. Anyway, oh my God, it makes me so mad. It wasn't until 1994 that the truth came out, when Klaus Schmidt, a German archaeologist, like we had to describe that. Like Klaus Schmidt was like from Paraguay or something, Anyway, Klaus Schmidt, I want to like stomp my foot every time I say it. A German archaeologist visited the site and realized immediately that there was something massive hidden underneath the hill. Recently, it was determined that the temple was built using geometry-guided construction to plan the layout. This type of construction was not believed possible at the time. The excavators of Gobekli Tepe believed that around 8,000 BCE, the people at the site deliberately buried the monuments under mountains of soil and settlement refuse, such as flints and animal bones, brought from elsewhere. And very, very strange, the fact that they buried this. And it's obviously buried on purpose. The very sheer size of this complex and the fact that we've uncovered, I think,
5% or something like that.
Yeah.
Something
like
small.
Under 10% of the complex. And it makes you mad because, at the rate they're going, they're not going to uncover it in our lifetime. I mean,
no.
It's just like, I just want to go out there with a dust vac and, let's just get this done. And I mean, I'm not saying let's blow it up, let's
right.
not that we need to stick dynamite in the hole or anything, but can we use a few earth movers? I mean, get the little bald kid from, Curse of Oak Island. He don't care. I would just dig it up, put the spoils over there.
Seriously, I mean, I think they built the pyramids quicker than they're uncovering this thing.
Allegedly, we should get some Egyptians out there.
If they just had people working there like 24 hours a day in shifts.
I need to get an Egyptologist and just be like, hey, I heard you guys built the pyramid in 20 years. And you get really pissed when we say you didn't. Could I get 20 of you guys to come out to Gobekli Tepe for a few days?
You don't have to build anything. You just dig it up.
You don't even have to do the hard stuff. I mean, if you're able to lift those stones and put them in place in 20 years, you could probably come move a few.
I mean, you would think that they'd want to uncover it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you would think, unless they know what's down there.
That very true. Very true.
I mean, they know they're going to find some. I'm thinking you're going to find some UFOs. I mean, when Bob Lazar, did his talk on Rogan, he talked about some of the craft they were working on were dug up.
Yeah, from archaeological sites.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's timey-wimey and weird to think about.
It has to be Egypt. That's probably why they're so secretive about all their archaeological finds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no matter what it is, that's the whole point of this. Whatever the hidden mystery is, okay, the very fact that they suppress information from us, just like when we're talking about giants, right? My problem with all of it is you don't hide something if it's not going to affect anything, right?
Right.
If it's not going to change the status quo any, if it's not going to change the books, if it's not going to defund you, you don't worry about it. I mean, you would tell the people. I don't understand. Your whole purpose of getting into archaeology is to discover things, uncover things, help humanity. You know more. The only way you're going to know about where we're going is to know where we're from. And it just seems like something. I mean, it's like they don't take a HIPAA oath or anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like we need these guys to swear to something. If you find it, thou shalt tell us. I mean, that's the whole thing. and it just bothers me. Does it bother you?
It does, yes.
Yeah,
it does.
So,
all right, are we ready to move on?
We are ready to move on. I'm giving you this one because they're so awesome.
Is this one for me?
Oh God, yeah.
All right. So
I gotta give you all the balls.
Is the stone spheres of Costa Rica. So the stone spheres of Costa Rica are an assortment of over 300 petrospheres in Costa Rica. I don't think they needed to tell us that. On the Diqui Delta and on Isla del Caño. Locally, they're also known as bolas de piedra, which literally translates to stone balls, which is a very apt name, I suppose.
You got to respect the Costa Rican people for that, don't you?
They're thought to have been placed in lines along the approach to the houses of chiefs, but their exact significance remains uncertain. The spheres range in size from a few centimeters to over 2 meters in diameter and weigh up to 15 tons. Most are sculpted from gabbro, the coarse-grained equivalent of basalt. There are a dozen or so made from shell-rich limestone and another dozen made from sandstone. They appear to have been made by hammering natural boulders with other rocks and then polishing them with sand. Okay, I'm sorry. How long does it take to beat a rock into a perfect circle with another rock?
You remember when Conan was a kid and he started pushing that circle in the desert?
Yeah.
I would say that has something to do with it. I mean, that I always picture that's what he's doing is making a Costa Rican ball. Just
it says, the degree of finishing and precision of working varies considerably, and the gabbro came from sites in the hills several kilometers away from where the finished spheres are found, though some unfinished ones remain in the hills. And it says they're just used for decoration. Because it makes sense that you would work that hard on this circle, roll it several kilometers to where you wanted it just to look pretty.
I think it's a game of pool between Odin and Loki.
The spheres were discovered in the 1930s as the United Fruit Company was clearing the jungle for banana plantations. Workmen pushed them aside with bulldozers and heavy equipment, damaging some of the spheres. Additionally, inspired by stories of hidden gold, workmen began to drill holes in the spheres and blow them open with sticks of dynamite. And several of the spheres were destroyed before the authorities intervened and said, stop doing that.
Does anybody else hate the human race? Is it just me? I mean, do you ever really wonder about the meatheads? I mean, we still have them today, right?
Right.
I mean, we still have them today. We have ones today that are just like, yeah, you know what? So what? It's 20,000 years old. We're never going to get it again. Let's blow it up.
I just don't understand the purpose. I mean, I understand that it's supposed to be some special decoration or something, but it just doesn't seem like you would go through all that trouble just to roll it in front of your house.
My theory to it is it is extraterrestrial. And I always thought that it was maybe a clue to their solar system that, you know.
Like the formation of them and
stuff?
stuff?
Right. And you know, they were laid out to such a degree that it made sense and it gave other visitors, other ET visitors,
right,
some kind of idea. You know, some kind of message.
Until those guys came and started rolling them around all over the place, and now all the ETs are lost.
Yes, and now they show up and they're like, "Oh no, wait, that's Pleiades." No, can't be because that one's supposed to be closer. No,
right? Yeah, I don't know where we're going. We're lost.
It's either that or I know when I was a kid, when I first got interested in this stuff. Thank God for my grandmother, because my grandmother would always order she would always order do you guys remember the Time Life books that were so amazing? And they would come out and be like, Time Life presents the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be like really cool illustrated versions of these books. And you get like 20 volumes.
Yeah.
And, you'll get one, per month, blah, blah, blah. Well, my grandmother would always order the free trial. And we always had the first book. I'll just put it that way.
It was always the most interesting, though.
So I had like the first book of everything you could ever imagine. So I knew enough about everything, but not the full story. And that really, I think that's where my thirst for knowledge came from.
Right.
Because I really think that's how they train archaeologists.
They give them the first.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna give you the first book, And yeah, you're good.
I remember those commercials because the first one's free. You could cancel any time.
Yeah, and she did.
Yeah, every 4 to 6 weeks you get a new volume to add to your collection or whatever.
Yeah, a ghost, antiquities, everything you can think of.
Yes.
We got the first book.
All right, you ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on from the balls.
All right, here you go.
All right, so this is one I like to talk about quite a bit, and it's Baalbek. Now, Baalbek is a frustrating place for me because there's one structure there that is just so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. I don't even want to read about it because it's that ridiculous but I'm going to.
Okay. You sure? I'll do it if you want me to.
No, I'll do it.
Okay, you go ahead.
As early as 9000 BC, Baalbek was a place for worship and became a cornerstone of ancient civilizations. Located in modern-day Lebanon, the ruins stand tall as an archaeological wonder with towering monuments and impressive columns. Baalbek, Lebanon, is the site of one of the most mysterious ruins of the Roman Empire, a monumental 2,000-year-old temple to Jupiter that sits atop 3,000-ton stone blocks. The pillars of Stonehenge weigh about a 40th of that. I want you to think about that.
That's ridiculous.
And think about the fact that we still don't know how we did Stonehenge. Archaeologists are puzzled at the possible reason for such large stones to be used. An alternative theory that was proposed by the late author Zechariah Sitchin, thank God, that the podium of Baalbek had to be big enough to serve as an intergalactic landing pad, as documented in the Epic of Gilgamesh. In 2014, a team discovered what they are calling the largest stone block from antiquity, weighing 1,650 tons and matching those that support the temple. The 3 million pound megalith is known as the Stone of the South, or the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. And my apologies to all pregnant women.
I don't know why they call it that. That's a picture of it right there in the bottom right, that black and white picture. I mean, look at that person standing next to that.
Yeah, put your little pointer on that person.
Look at this is a person, a grown man right here.
Yeah, that's a grown-ass man, all right? And that grown-ass man, I don't care if you have, 5,000 of him, again.
Right.
Are they going to move that?
And if you look at the temple over here, these are people down here. So these stones are the ones that are here underneath this temple.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's ridiculous. How do you move that?
You don't move that. You don't move that with what we have. Now, here's the thing, right? So our whole thing is we believe that the human race has probably done this dance 2 or 3 times, okay? And if you go back through a lot of calculations and a lot of because you can actually dig and see when we had asteroid strikes, when meteor strikes, when you can see when things happened, and when we had ice ages and what have you, when we had floods, you could see all that. It's there. The proof is in the pudding. So I truly believe maybe, just maybe, naughty girls need love too, but also maybe we were more advanced than what we are now. I know that most people, none of you, but most people have a hard time accepting things like that. But not even necessarily the same kind of technology. Maybe they harness technology in a much better way. Maybe we had free energy. Maybe it was from the pyramids. It doesn't have to be ETs every time. It can absolutely be the fact that the human race was way more advanced.
Right.
And, it's forgotten. It's just forgotten knowledge. That's all it is. It's forgotten knowledge.
Right.
I don't see any other way of constructing something like this. And you know what? Really, there's no one that has put anything out good enough to really explain it. But I'll say this, it's just insane. The testimony to Baalbek's properties can be found in the 1860 diary of the Scottish traveler David Urquhart, whose mental capacities were paralyzed by the impossibility of any solution. He devotes several pages to the riddles posed by the giant stones, so enormous as to shut out every other thought, and yet to fill the mind with only trouble. What, for example, was the point of cutting such enormous rocks? And why do it out there in the middle of nowhere instead of in a capital or a port? Why there were no other sites that looked like Baalbek? And why had the work been abandoned midway? All really good questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Intergalactic spaceport seems pretty good. Yeah. See, what was it, Stephanie?
She says hydraulics and lots of slaves and simple machines.
Yeah, well, I believe that we have the problem with the hydraulics. But I agree.
Yes.
That would work.
They did have, there were very advanced simple machines and pulley systems that people don't employ today because we have, machinery and technology. But sometimes I don't know if that explains this, the sheer size of it. It's just very mind blowing.
There's also things with placement, with cutting, tools that that we've never found.
Right.
We've never found any tools in a lot of these places.
But I would consider that as a lost knowledge because clearly it's not something we can replicate now.
Right.
If it was something that like we said, that people did and were able to do, it's so mysterious to us that that's just a lost art now.
I think it's strange that we don't try to build things like this anymore.
Right.
Like we don't build anything grand.
It's not really practical, I guess.
I don't care how practical it is.
It's very expensive.
It sure as hell wasn't practical then.
No, but it wasn't expensive.
Yeah.
Because you just use slaves, I guess. I don't know.
Well, maybe you just found a key.
We just don't do that sort of thing anymore.
We need to find an alien race.
No.
All right.
All right, you ready to move on?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
This is all you.
Oh, the next one, the Persepolis Gate of All Nations.
Yes.
This thing's amazing.
Oh, it is.
So the construction of the Stairs of All Nations and the Gate of All Nations was ordered by the Achaemenid king Xerxes, the son and successor of the founder of Persepolis, Darius I the Great. The entrance of the Gate of All Nations was protected by bulls and mythological creatures called lammases. There's a lot of S's in that. There's like 3 S's in the middle of that word, lammases, which are bulls with the head of a bearded man. The general idea behind these fantasy animals is that they warded off evil, which explains why they were sitting at the gate. And the entire monument was a giant construction with 2 large doors in the west and east and a hall between them. The columns of the central halls were 16.5 meters high, and there was also a third entrance to the south. And there's like this ancient inscription in the gate, and from that ancient inscription they learned that the name of the monument was the Gate of All Nations, and it was written in 3 different languages. There was Old Persian inscription, Babylonian, and Elamite.
Right.
So it was just this, grand. It wasn't even supposed to be that useful. It was more just like a welcoming kind of thing, I think, where, you could come and walk through these hallways and,
just beautiful.
Just amazing. And I love that faraway picture where you can tell that it was very grand when it was all built and put together.
Just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. And this next one that we're going to go over, this one is my favorite, and simply because when I was going through this, this is one of the ones that was really, really brought to me because of I was talking about the dreams. Several dreams about this place, and but it's very, very, very amazing. I love this, and it is Elora Caves. Just the construction, my God, the way it was made. There's not many. There's another one, near it, but this one is the nicest, covering an area more than 2 kilometers in size. The Elora Caves are a massive and humbling tribute to faith and medieval era workmanship in India. In fact, the term caves hardly does justice to the 34 Buddhist and Jainist temples in Elora, each painstakingly carved out of the mountainside and filled with delicate works of art. These temples were created in the 6th through 18th centuries and include intricately carved images in the walls of decorative fixtures on the temples, usually seen in traditionally masoned buildings, but hardly common for something excavated out of solid rock. It's truly hard to believe these temples are, in fact, vertically excavated out of stone.
That's hard to believe. That means that they just started cutting at the top.
Yeah.
And just carved them out as they went down.
Yeah. So
crazy.
Without any modern,
Right.
I mean, again, one solid piece of stone started at the top and carved down and created these with this intricacy that you're not going to find anywhere today. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. The construction of only one temple required the removal of 3 million cubic feet of stone, weighing more than 200,000 tons. And here's your mystery. The stone is nowhere to be found.
Right.
So they removed, again, just for one of them, just for one temple, they removed 3 million cubic feet of stone weighing more than 200,000 tons.
And there's 34 temples.
34 temples. And there is not one single pile of the stone.
There's no way to account for the stone at all.
Yeah.
Like it's not built into anything else or anything like that.
It's insane. That's the biggest mystery to that is the fact that it's not, the stone's not there.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Bothers
very
me
weird.
Anyway. But yeah, that's a few of the structures that just don't belong. They don't fit really. So what's the reason for that? Well, it could be they're older than, again, my theory to it is that a lot of these things are ancient, right? They're just way, way, way older than what we have really academically approved or given credit for. Some of the ones they've gotten a lot closer, especially recently, like Gobaka Tepe, that makes sense. We didn't really know what was going on there, but, around that time period. And it keeps going back further and further and further. I mean, there's sites in North America now that they're, dating correctly. And so it gives me a lot of hope with the precision we have on dating practices now. And when they find something, it's nice to see that they're working on these things and not really turning a blind eye to them like they did for so long.
Right. Yeah, they're actually giving credence to some of those more out there theories.
But I mean, if you just look at the mysterious structures from antiquity, that's skimming the surface.
Yeah, we barely touched on any. You could go in depth with almost all of those that we even talked about.
Yeah,
and find just mystery after mystery and just things that they don't understand about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of mysteries, the biggest mystery is coming up because we have a jam-packed week of paranormal news. Oh boy. Okay. Do you want me to get my flute and do
I guess I don't know. I keep forgetting to put an intro in for the news. That's terrible.
Paranormal news.
I need to make one. I at least need to have a sign or something that says paranormal news to put up there.
Oh, I thought you were going to wear it around your neck.
Yeah. No.
It's just like
I have a different sign.
I'll hold a light up during this part. Paranormal news.
All right. So let's get into the news. And, I don't have the story about the tiger that's loose in Knoxville, but isn't that weird?
Guess what I'm doing this weekend?
Tiger running around Knoxville, Tennessee, that has been seen by police officers, even though they say it could possibly be a cougar. You never know. But I think that it's really a tiger. He says they saw a tiger.
I can tell you from personal experience, there are a lot of cougars in Knoxville.
Oh, that was bad. Okay.
It's really bad. Go ahead.
Bad. All right, so let's go to our first story, and it is going to be about the FBI investigating some pilots reporting a guy in a jetpack at 3,000 feet in the air near the planes at LAX.
Yes.
This is a very strange story because they still, to my knowledge, do not know who this was flying in the air. And it was reported by 2 separate pilots. So told a spokesperson told somebody at Fox, by the way, that the FBI is aware of the reports by 2 different pilots and are working to determine what occurred. So the first pilot was an American Airlines pilot, and he reported via the radio to the control tower that he saw a, quote, guy in a jetpack. And this was as he was approaching LAX, and it was about 3,000 feet and about 10 miles out from the airport. So if that wasn't weird enough, a second pilot also saw the incident, and they, was plenty of visibility. It wasn't dark at the time. Pilots are very reliable about things that they see. And, based on research, jetpacks can technically fly that high, but it's pretty uncommon. So either this was an unusual jetpack, or the guy just had no idea what he was doing and accidentally flew up really high towards some airplanes. Some people suggest that it could be some sort of internet or social media stunt, but I feel like if that was the case, it would have been found out already.
Yeah.
They would have seen it online.
Well, the first thing I thought from an alternative theory point of view was some of the great stories we've had in the past that we've talked about with planes traveling, especially the one in Maine that all of a sudden, had the collision with a plane from out of time, right?
Right.
And it goes back, and we have that record of the plane crash in like 1930 or something, and that guy had a story when he got back to the airport. He's like, I don't know, it looks like something futuristic, and it just something like a time slip,
right?
It could but it's probably just Elon Musk.
It could be.
It's like, I'm going to build a jetpack today.
If he did build jetpacks, he would sell them to the public, just for fun, like he did the flamethrower, because
Absolutely.
That's how he is. He's very
I like
strange
the
like that.
excuse that the pilot gave, because when they asked one of the pilots, what's your opinion of this? He said, well, only in LA.
How true that is. That is very, very true. All right, well, let's move on to this next story, because I thought this one was really interesting. It's about NASA, and it turns out that NASA wants to buy moon dirt from private companies. Isn't that strange?
It is, especially since they recently wanted the moon rocks.
And now they just want moon dirt.
Well, yeah, what are they looking for?
I don't know. And see, I thought that was really interesting part of this as well. So it turns out that the agency said that they will pay $15,000 to $25,000 for each sample cache. And they just issued a request for proposals saying that they want private companies from the United States or abroad to snag between 1.8 ounces to 18 ounces of lunar material by 2024 and officially transfer ownership of the stuff to the space agency on the lunar surface. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And NASA says that they'll eventually bring the lunar material down to Earth, and their main goal that they claim that they're doing this for is to stimulate and normalize the extraction and sale of lunar resources. They see that in the future this is going to be a big market, a big deal, with all the private companies that are now going to space and landing on the moon. They want to prove that resources can be extracted and traded and sold in a fair manner. That's what they claim. Of course, supposedly this is all in accordance with the Outer Space Treaty, the 1967 Outer Space Treaty. It doesn't break any rules, but there is a link for the actual request, which I have here, that you bring up, and it explains everything that they're looking for and the objectives. And just a couple things I thought were really interesting is it says that the materials can be collected from any location, but the purchase is made on an as collected condition, and that the contractor does not need to perform any assessment on these materials whatsoever. So in other words, they want you to gather it, but they don't want you to do anything to it. And then if it says down here that the delivery occurs on the lunar surface, so you can go up there, you can gather it, you can sell it to them, but you're not going to bring it home or test it or anything like that. Now, this does say that you can gather more than what they're asking for and do whatever you want with it, sell it to not NASA people, but I don't think there's a large market for just dirt from the moon.
Well, there is now.
From people. But I thought that was really interesting. I feel like that I mean, maybe they're doing it for the reason that they're saying, but it just seems really strange to me. Like maybe there's an alternative motive.
I mean,
alternative.
As Chris just said in the chat room, you know, never a straight answer, NASA.
Right.
But I mean, it is weird, and it's also a stupid explanation, which they've got a whole department there.
Right.
You know, it's the stupid explanation department.
Well, to kind of go along with this story, there was another story recently that I thought was really interesting, and it's about the moon is supposedly, quote, rusting, and scientists are stunned. Isn't it odd that this story comes out and then all of a sudden NASA wants to start buying all the samples of the moon dirt?
Yeah.
I thought that was really weird.
Scientists are baffled.
Let me make that stop. So let me push this story over for you to see here. Here we go. So a newly published study about the moon from looking at data from the JPL Moon Mineralogy Mapper realized that this instrument detected a spectra, or light reflected off all surfaces, that revealed the moon's poles had a very different composition than the rest of it. Supposedly the polar surfaces showed that there was a lot of hematite. And they really didn't believe it because it shouldn't exist based on the conditions present on the moon. They said since they discovered water on the moon, people have been speculating that there could be, a greater variety of minerals, but there should not be what would be considered rust on the moon. Like, they have no idea how to actually explain what that kind of hematite and stuff is doing there. There's no atmosphere providing oxygen, and that should be what, causes the oxidation. So they have no idea where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So it's a very strange thing to be finding up there. And I thought that the timing of this was very odd. That, you've got all this weird oxidation, they don't really understand it, and then all of a sudden, hey, let's buy your samples.
Yeah, I mean, rusting, the moon's rusting. I mean, that's just insane.
And even when they use the theory of the water, it says that the hematite was discovered isn't near any of the water ice that's been discovered. So it's just, they're throwing all kinds of explanations out there. Like, oh, well, maybe it's from the earth, or maybe it's from this, or maybe it's from that. But they really don't have any idea.
Yeah, no, it's insanity, and the stories really do match up. If you're looking for answers or whatever, it does kind of make sense.
It does. And when I read this story, I thought it was really funny because this is not the first time that there's been really crazy things about the moon. There are tons of conspiracy theories out there about the moon. The moon and what it is or what it isn't. Right. And so I just grabbed the top. I want to tell you a few of these because they're really cool. Like, the first one is that the moon rings like a bell. And you've heard this all the time.
I have.
So between 1972 and 77, they installed seismometers on the moon. And whenever there was earthquakes, because there were moonquakes, they have moonquakes, the moon rings like a bell. Yeah. And they recorded it, and they can't explain that at all. There's a theory out there that the moon is not real, but it's a space station for aliens used to monitor our planets. Supposedly on the website that's done by Scott Waring, we talk about him a lot. He does all of that conspiracy stuff. He claimed to have found 2 photos in the NASA Image Atlas in 2013 that have since been deleted, I might add. That said there was evidence that the moon was not real, but actually a space station. So I don't know. They're deleted now, so you can't tell. There's a belief that the moon is linked to mental health, hence the word lunatics. Right. That's where you get that. Supposedly the moon, in a new study, has an effect on your sleep. Yeah. We know that for a fact. Right. It does. It's harder to sleep when the moon is full. Yeah. And of course, our favorite lunar wave that you can find
the damn lunar wave
on YouTube. Yes. You just look it up. It's so weird, and that goes into the theory that the moon's a hologram.
Yeah, if you want to get,
it's not really there at all.
If you want to get stuck in a loop that's going to take you hours, lunar wave.
Lunar wave, yes, just look it up. And there's some that are better than others. Some of them are not very good, but there's some really good ones out there that you can really, really see.
Absolutely.
That are amazing. All right, so let's move on to this next story. And this next story is about a retired meteorologist who shares his account of the 1994 West Michigan UFO sightings. So let's see here. So this is from Kalamazoo, Michigan, because weird things, they happen in Michigan. And he had this story from 1994 that he didn't like to share because he was ridiculed heavily for his story. But he claims that now he feels more confident in being able to talk about it because of everything that's been happening with the Pentagon and the UAPs and the videos that have come out. So his story is really cool. It turns out that he was working for the National Weather Service. He was in the office by himself on a cold night. It was in Muskegon. And they don't actually have this office there anymore, but at the time they did, and you used the radar. Basically, he said you could pretty much use it like a spotlight. You could move it and shine it where you wanted to. But that night, the phone rang, and he answered it to find an Ottawa County dispatcher on the other line who had been fielding phone calls from people saying that there were unusual lights in the sky. And so they called the National Weather Service to see if anything had been showing up on their weather radar. And so he started looking around. It turns out over 100 people reported witnessing the strange lights in the sky.
Yeah.
And so he started moving the radar around, trying to figure out if he could find these things that they were looking at. And eventually, as he was watching the object, he did find it. He said it started as one, and it was coasting about 100 miles an hour. But then he said it stopped and started hovering, and then it shot up about 5,000 feet, and then about 10,000 feet. Like it's just moving straight up. And then he said it was almost as if it was saying, hey, I know you can see me. Look what I can do. And then he claimed that it finally got up to about 30 or 40,000 feet. And then he described seeing a triangle of objects oriented vertically, and they would spread out, and sometimes one would move and then the other ones would move to meet it but stay in that triangle formation.
Right.
Like just very strange, definitely things that normal aircraft can't do, and seen by a ton of people. And I think it says that the heights topped off at close to 60,000 feet at time. And this happened for roughly, I think, 2 hours. He was able to track all of these strange lights, and eventually they stopped over Lake Michigan. And they said that coincidentally, it was an area of open water, but that year the lake was almost entirely covered in ice. So I don't know, it was very strange. He called the FAA control tower to see if they had seen anything, and they claimed that they had observed like some aircraft in formation, but they didn't have any kind of code or anything like that. So I don't know, it was a very strange sighting that he never felt comfortable talking about. And he, finally, now that he's retired, decided that he would talk about it. He said that, the National Weather Service didn't want to become the UFO reporting center for the United States. So they really sort of sat on the story and didn't, try and let it get out or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's totally insane. What a great story, though, and a great witness with a lot of detail. I mean, just a lot of detail. And I understand why I would not want that out.
Right. Because, especially at the time, it was not something that they wanted to, tell people about. So.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you can imagine, the connotation that comes with it. I mean,
right.
As always, you're going to be nothing but just ridiculed and, talked about and whatever. So, anyway.
Yes. So, and I will talk about something that I don't actually have the story for it, but I will mention it. There's this weird radar event in Mexico, I think last week. And I've seen a few. There's not actually a technical news story on it, but I think there was some Twitter posts and some Reddit posts.
Oh, yeah.
About
the thing about it is, I know what you're talking about because I seen it too, and it was, oh my God. So I'm not sure if it was just an artifact that was, on one weather channel, and because sometimes I think what I saw was on some of the reporting. Maybe it was just an artifact where they messed up, and it looks like, to our eyes, automatically you're thinking, well, that's a UFO, it's a giant mothership or something. It's finally, coming to see us or whatever.
Right.
But I did read in other places that more than likely it was just some kind of weird test thing that was, just showed up like that. But the problem was it was on several weather sites.
Right.
And it never really got a story per se, but it did get a lot of play on Twitter.
It did. And I think I might have at least a picture of it.
Oh, really?
Yes, to see, just to show what the weather radar looked like. Let's see. Here it is. This is what the weather radar looked like in Mexico. And like I said, there's not a technical story on this, but it is very unusual. The pattern of it being in a circle like that, and nobody could really tell what it was. And it's like, I think there are other pictures where it's a perfect circle.
Right, you can see right there. I mean,
yeah,
it's really strange, and at the same time, it showed up. Something similar showed up in like 2 other countries.
Yeah, so it says 2 new anomalies over China and India, and this is like a video. You can see it popping up here, and it's just really strange. There was so many theories being thrown around about them testing some kind of 5G weapon, or them doing, I don't know, just different things. See, here's a better picture of like the circle.
Well, the whole thing was the 5G. That's what the conspiracy theorists were wanting to say, was that it was 5G.
Right.
And they were turning it on, and and that 5G can be weaponized at any time, and that was what they were testing, because there was actually stories of decapitated bodies or something like that, right?
Yeah, there were. I think that was from a different incident, like more like a gang incident, but it was in the area. And the only thing I think I did also see is there's a somewhat similar radar anomaly from years ago, before the 5G would have been a thing, but it's not exactly the same. Like, and
you can see this is from the Twitter user at Dixie Zoomer. I gotta tell you, the funny part of this is I was thinking that it was a 5G conspiracy theory from a from a right wing, not saying, listen, I'm not saying I never say we're right wing, left wing. We are angel winged. Right. Okay. So, but just because I misread the name of the username, I told Stacy, I was like, you're going to have to look up this user at Dixie Boomer. And I guess it was in my head. So Dixie Boomer ended up not being
the right thing.
Not being what I thought it was. Just thought I'd share that there.
That's funny. All right. Well, while we're still on the subject of UFOs, I do want to share this one because it's really, really strange. And let's see if I can get this pulled up here and show you. This is about a UFO that was captured above a town by a schoolgirl. And let me see if I can get this so you can see it. It's a very strange little weird anomaly in the sky. So it's a photo that she took. She saw an unexpected set of lights in the night sky, and she was 15. She snapped a picture of the UFO as it hovered above her home. And the town is all talking about it because it is very, very strange. And her mom has shown the snap to customers and says everyone is fascinated by what it could be. They have no idea. They don't think it's anything astronomical. Like, it looks really weird just being out there in
the... It's a radioactive seagull.
Here's a better, like, close-up version of it. See, look, it does look like it's got, like, these round lights going on.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I thought that was really strange.
It looks like almost like something that's streaking. You see how the bottom of it has a more solid little ball? It does, yes. It almost looks like something that's turning. You know what I mean?
It could. See, I was thinking it was circular, and there was lights going around it. But it could be a movement thing.
I mean, if there's any exposure time at all, exposure time at all, that could totally be something that's moving.
It could be. This is true. And it says she took it with her phone. Yeah. So there's no way to tell what kind of phone she has.
If it is, I mean, you do see the little circle lights.
Right.
So let's just say there's a spotlight on the bottom of that thing. If you can almost envision that as being a UFO, dude. I mean, look at the. Let me use your little pointer here.
Sure.
But I mean, that looks like little circle lights right there. Am I seeing that wrong?
No, that was my impression. But again, it's just the one picture. So, but she did take the picture because what she saw, she thought was unusual enough to warrant a picture. So I feel like
she's 15 years old, so that's doing something.
I feel like it's not just some random airplane or something, because why would you need to snap a photo of that?
Yeah, no, that's
you wouldn't do that.
at the least, it's interesting.
Yes, I agree. And it kind of just leads you to the fact that there have been a lot of articles recently about UFO sightings. There have been a lot of increased UFO sightings since the pandemic. And what you attribute that to, people just having more time on their hands, or, being tired of TV and looking up at the sky, or whatever. It has caused an increase in the sightings, or is it just, getting us ready for
it's
something?
Totally getting us ready for the false flag.
Just throwing it out there.
I'm throwing it out there. If we're going to have an alien invasion, it's going to be in October.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
If they're working with us at all, or if we've figured out how to, fly the craft that we found.
Right.
It'll be done then. So.
Well, I have this next news story, and this one is so interesting, and I absolutely love it, and you all have to go read it. So it's about this veteran psychiatrist who is on a mission to destigmatize paranormal experiences.
There you go.
And I love this story, and there's a couple things I love about it. So this was something that was heard on CBC radio recently. He was doing an interview, and his name is Dr. Manuel Matus, I think is how you say it.
Mamatus?
He's a clinical psychiatrist with some 40 years of experience in the field of mental health, and he has a lifetime of experience with the paranormal. He says it began many, many years ago when he was a young psychiatry resident at McGill University, and he claims that he was in his apartment in Montreal, and one night somehow he left his body, and he found himself floating on the ceiling just looking back down at himself. And he claims that at the time he wouldn't have thought that anything like that was remotely possible. And in fact, if somebody had
remotely possible,
yeah, that's funny. And in fact, if somebody had told him that story, he would not have believed it. He admits that. And so he's written this book, and he notes in his book, it's called The Borders of Normal, A Clinical Psychiatrist Destigmatizes Paranormal Phenomena. He claims that, you might be able to write off one or two strange events that can be explained by logic or reason, but when they start to pile up, you begin to pay attention. And so he started meeting other people who said they had had similar encounters, with all this strange, weird, unusual, anomalous stuff.
Right.
And he said what he found out is that people who have these experiences don't want to talk about them.
Yeah.
And he claims that people are worried what other people will think about them, especially him being a psychiatrist. I can imagine that people are very hesitant to open up to him about stuff like that for fear of, being labeled as crazy. And he claims that he doesn't feel like the experiences are as rare as they seem, just that people don't want to talk about them.
It's the silent majority of UFO seekers.
Yes. And he says that his new personal motto is, if you see something, say something.
Yeah, well, again, lessons I've taught my daughters. So,
And he claims that he's encountered his fair share of skepticism, especially in his profession. When he tells other physicians about his book, they're always like, why destigmatize these things? Why would you even want to do that? And he just doesn't think that they understand.
And his colleagues are like, well, Manuel, it's because you remember the whole Y2J incident?
Right.
I've still got beanie weenies, but because we listened to you then, Manuel. But no, that's a great thing that he's doing, it's something that's not done by many professionals. Although there's many that can't explain anything, and they have experienced it. I always talk about everybody has an experience, right? And even when they tell me no, we don't have an experience except for Grandma.
Right.
She
Showing
sees
up.
Grandpa open the cabinets every Christmas. So.
Well, another thing I thought was really cool about this article is he talks about another article that was written by a man named Michael Shermer. Now, Michael Shermer is a publisher of Skeptic magazine.
Yes.
And he wrote this article, and I've got it pulled up here. He wrote it back in 2014. Yes, October 1st, 2014. And he talks about something that happened to him that really shook his skepticism. Now, I don't think it changed his mind about anything, but it was a really amazing encounter. It's a great story. And, I'll just give you the quick version of it. Supposedly he was getting married, and his fiance lived in Germany, and she was moving, and on the move, a lot of her very personal items, some of the boxes were damaged and some of the things were lost, things that were owned by her grandfather. And she was very close to her grandfather. He was the male figure in her life. And, so they were getting married, and some of the things, like I said, of his were missing, except there was this one radio that did not go missing. It's like a little transistor radio. And as a wedding gift, he took the radio and he tried to fix it. Like, he opened it, he messed with the circuits, he put batteries in it, he did everything he could. He could not get the radio to work. So they put it in a drawer and, kind of forgot about it. And so on the day that they were getting married, they were doing a ceremony in their house with just some close friends, and they heard music playing from their bedroom. And so they went to the bedroom. They kept looking because they were trying to figure out where this music was coming from, because they're getting ready to do their ceremony, and turned out it was coming from the transistor radio. It was playing like a love song or something like that. This radio that they could not get to work. And it absolutely blew their minds. And she instantly was like, my grandfather's with us. I'm not alone. She had been missing him a lot that day because she wanted him to give her away and he couldn't be there. And so it just made her feel very comforting. And the radio played the entire night. They fell asleep to the sound of this classical music playing. And the next day it stopped playing and has not played since.
Wow.
Isn't that an amazing, like, to be a skeptic, to have that, experience is amazing. And he claims that it shook him and he can't explain it, and he doesn't want to explain it. He just wanted to savor the experience, and
and that's an article in the Scientific American.
Yes, and as written by the man that runs Skeptic magazine.
That's insane.
And I love it when skeptics get that dose of paradigm shift.
Yeah. I mean, we all do, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, right? Everybody experiences something, or you have a friend that does.
Exactly. Like you said, everyone has a story, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's move on to this next story. This is one from Maine.
Yay.
And this is some really eerie dash cam footage that appears to show a ghost cross the road.
Well, we know that happens a lot in Maine.
Yes, it does.
I mean, for real.
I love this video. So let me see if I can get it to where the video is. I'm just going to show it to you. Supposedly this is a 92 Moose article.
Oh, you still listen to them all the time.
Yeah, and this was something that was uploaded to, I think, Facebook, maybe by a group called 207 Paranormal. So, okay, here it is. I'm going to see if I can't play this and see what you think here. Oh, did you see it? Let me go back. I think they played it a couple times, but I'm going to go back and let you see that. Let me see if I can make it full screen here.
Wow.
We'll go full screen. Did you see it go run across?
Yeah.
Here it goes in slow motion. And there it goes. We've seen that a bunch of times.
It's a crawler.
Isn't that crazy? And it doesn't look like an animal. Like, there's no form to it at all.
Yeah,
it's very...
I see the legs, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. I seen it looked like a crawler. It looked like one of those stupid crawlers that crawl on the ceiling.
I know, but it was going across the. I mean, there was no way to fake that. They were just driving along.
So what do you think? Ghost of a bear?
Ghost or a dog? I think maybe a dog.
It's a big dog.
It is, but maybe it got hit. Maybe baby moose.
I mean, it could be. It could be. No, that's really good footage, though. Really good eye.
It was. Yeah, for them to. They must have seen it while they were driving to be able to go back, because you wouldn't just go back through your dash cam footage and look for something like that.
I mean, not even in COVID, no.
No, I don't think so.
The only time you're going to have time, though.
That's very true. All right, so let's move on to a weird story from Siberia.
No, not that that's ever happened.
So this is about some massive mystery holes that have appeared in Siberian tundra. They have no idea where they come from. They claim they may be linked to climate change, but they don't really know.
Of course they say that right now.
They don't really know. Look at that. Look. It's just a huge hole. So a Russian TV crew flying over the Siberian tundra this past summer spotted a massive crater 30 meters deep and 20 meters wide. So it's... striking in its size and symmetry, and explosive force of nature that must have taken to create it. The scientists are not exactly sure how the huge hole, which I think they said is the 9th that has been spotted in the region in the past few years.
They found where they threw the Costa Rican balls.
That's where they go.
Yeah.
Initial theories that floated around when they discovered the first crater was that, it could be a meteorite impact or UFO landing or collapse of secret underground military storage facility. No idea. I think that the working theory they have right now, it has something to do with some kind of underground methane that is exploding out through the surface. But it's just a theory. They don't really know for sure. They do claim a professor at the Oil and Gas Research Institute of the Russian Academy of Sciences. His name is Vasily Bogoyavlinsky.
That's not his name.
That is what he says his name is. It's very long. He said he spoke to a reindeer herder who witnessed.
Are you laughing at reindeer herders?
No, yes, but I
that is
don't
a well-respected traditional.
It is. It's just every time I just picture Santa's reindeers, so I'm sorry.
It's Siberian reindeer.
So the reindeer herder witnessed a massive explosion on a mound on a river, supposedly back in 2017. And her story was that every morning she was going to...
Wait, her?
Yes, it's a woman.
Well, that's even cooler.
So every morning she was supposedly going to the small frost mound near the river because it was the highest place around to look and see where the reindeer were. And on this one particular morning, she was standing up there and she started to feel something strange in her legs, and it scared her and she ran. And thankfully she did, because when she was about 200 or 300 meters away, there was an explosion. And supposedly it left behind one of these craters. Now that's just her telling of what happened, but they have no idea what at first they're saying it's warming temperatures and it's causing these things, but they're not convinced that that's really the reason. They're saying that they just think that it's probably the methane trying to get to the surface, but who knows?
It's really cool though, and it's it just looks like a dig site.
It does, and it looks like somebody's drilled, is what it looks like. It looks like a drill hole.
They're probably trying to cover up the fact that they're illegally drilling.
But that thing's humongously big. There's no way you could have a drill that big. I mean, you're talking 30 meters deep, 20 meters wide. I mean, it was like 60 some feet or something. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's huge. That's a big hole.
A very, very big hole. All right, so let's move on to another story. It's kind of a cool discovery, and I like really cool discoveries. So
we know you do.
I'm just gonna do this one that we found here, and this is about a lost medieval sacristy and some burial grounds that were unearthed at Westminster Abbey.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that they found.
Yeah, it really is.
So archaeologists in London have discovered the foundations of Westminster Abbey's medieval era great sacristy. Now, sacristy is basically just a closet where they keep all of the holy linens and relics and things like that. So it was supposedly this little closet, L-shaped structure that held the chalices and all those things. And supposedly this was also a way for some of the priests and things to come into the abbey. But it's interesting that they found the foundations for it, because I guess they knew it was there, but they had never found this before. But along with finding this, they've also found, there's a nice picture of it, a bunch of burials, hundreds of them all over the place. And can you imagine how old those are under Westminster Abbey?
Oh my God,
that's ridiculous. Because the cathedral that stands there today was consecrated on the site in 1065.
Jeez.
I mean, that's ridiculously old.
No, it is. It really is. I love the history of Westminster Abbey.
Yes, I do too. And it says that the team found evidence of hundreds, if not thousands, of burials on the property because it's been there so ridiculously long that, of course, there's thousands of burials, and they're probably all monks and, priests and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. All that kind of stuff.
All those kind of people that, worked there at one point in time. All right. So let's move on to more of a spooky, ghosty type story. And we're going to talk about a few, entertainment projects that are coming out. So this first story is about the cast on the New Mutants movie,
which is out now at your local theater.
Yes. So the New Mutants movie was filmed at an abandoned asylum. And the story is that the cast was totally creeped out by the abandoned mental hospital where they filmed because there was creaky floors, and I guess there was some sort of caretaker there or person that ran the place that decided to tell them all the stories of the haunted location, all the weird things that happen there, because I just picture Waverly. Anytime you go by Waverly, there's totally always somebody there to go, hey, do you know what happened here? Or do you know what's over here?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what happens at night? Oh, I think it's great. So it was filmed at Medfield State Hospital, which is a mental hospital in Massachusetts. It's been abandoned for 50 years. And one of the actresses said she was totally creeped out by the entire mental hospital because there's all these spooky stories going around. And she said she thinks a lot of women were like lobotomized there. That's always the story, though, isn't it? It's
so terrible. I mean, when a lot of the medical facilities or the mental facilities that I've investigated over the years, there's always these horrible stories of these poor women before they could. Oh God, it's just horrible. Because they were ornery or disagreed or they were depressed.
Right.
They would say they had brain fever. And that was one of the terms back then, go read a Sherlock Holmes book.
Brain fever.
Yeah.
I got the brain fever.
And, they would put them away. And it's sad. It's horrible. It was like the way to get rid of your relatives, I guess, or
I suppose,
or your wife or whatever. And, it's very similar to something, one of our investigations that we did of Major Graham Mansion. That one always broke my heart with Martha.
Yes.
The lady of the house, and she was, what they think now that she may have been, bipolar,
right,
something that we would have been able to treat now, and instead it's so sad. And one of the EVPs is so sad that we call it with please tell Gracie that I need her.
I know.
We captured that, or I captured that in the dungeon of that place where the chains are still on the walls.
Yes.
And it's just horrific. It broke my heart being in that area. And it broke my heart for so many reasons, just thinking about these people that were, it was mostly women, but not just women. But it really got me, just for I have so many daughters and my lovely wife and everybody. I just always get really mad about things like that. But just a different time, man. So the vibes in mental facilities are never good vibes. I never feel good there.
Yeah, and one of the actors, Maisie Williams, is in that movie, and she was like, it kind of just makes you feel quite uncomfortable, and I'm sure it does. Because it's very eerie being in places where people were not well, I guess you could say.
Absolutely.
I guess you could say. So why we're sort of on this thing with the movies, let's talk about another one that's coming out that I can't wait to see, and it's called The Haunting of Bly Manor. And that's not the reason I got the story. That is a cool thing coming out. That's not the reason I got the story, but I got the story because the director wants to make Stephen King's Dark Tower.
Yes.
And I
knew where you were going.
One of my favorite stories. I love that. So Mike Flanagan.
Nobody's happy with, what happened with the movie. So
No. And I'll just say, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I'm sure our listeners already know that. And The Dark Tower is my favorite thing that he's ever written,
right?
Because it's so involved and it's so in depth, and it's just I think I'm gonna get one of those big posters on the wall that has like the timeline and shows where everything connects to everything else, because it just fascinates me. It blows my mind that you could put that kind of thing together. But I didn't watch the movie,
right?
And when they were making the movie, I said before it was made, before they announced who was in it or anything, I said that is not going to make a good movie.
No,
it's not, because it's too much. You can't even take part of it and make it into a movie.
I know you were really happy when you found out who was acting in it. You really, because you like was it Idris Elba?
Idris Elba. I love Idris Elba. I think he's fantastic. I don't know if he would have made. I'm not sure he made the best gunslinger, but like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say. Matthew McConaughey, what I think was a great choice for the bad guy. I like him, even he's a little bit annoying sometimes, but I still like him. I watch all those movies, but I just didn't want to watch it because I knew that they weren't going to be able to do the story justice in such a short time.
Right.
Because it is very detailed and it is very involved, and you really have to build that world. So when I read this article, I was really excited. Now I know they've been trying to get it as a series. They've been trying to get it going, and nobody will pick it up, I think because of how badly the movie did. But Mike Flanagan claims that he would love to take on the challenge. Now, he's done Stephen King stuff before. He did Gerald's Game and he did Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
And he claims that he would love to take on this challenge, and that in his opinion, it should be, a TV adaptation, like I said, where you can build the characters and build the story and take it season to season and, do it like that. Now, it's not something he could do anytime soon, but I hope that they let him do it. Yeah. Because I would really like for it to be, I think it would make a really good series.
There's not very many good Stephen King movies.
There's not. It's such a toss-up.
I know there's a few, but realistically, I don't see very many people that are fans of the books that usually end up liking the movies.
It really depends on the story. Like, Misery was a great movie.
Yeah.
But the book wasn't super, it was very straightforward. It was easy to adapt that and tell that story.
Right.
Same thing with like Pet Sematary and Christine, Carrie. Those all made decent movies. I don't think that which one was it that I didn't think was a very good movie? The Shining, I like The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, but I honestly really enjoyed the TV miniseries they did of The Shining because it was 3 parts and it went directly by the book. Right. Like, it wasn't just like very loosely based with a few names and something else and weird.
I love The Shining just for the Kubrick vision of it. I do. I think it's its own story though. I don't think it's like loosely, like you said.
Yeah, very, very loosely based. Very loosely based. But no, I liked like Needful Things and stuff like that. There are ones that I like it when
Salem's Lot.
Yes. See, I like it when they take his shorter stories and make those into movies, because it's like they can take the short little novella and really expand on it.
Did you ever watch the Langoliers?
I don't know if I've ever seen that one. There was the Tommy Knockers, but I didn't really like that one. Yeah. It's not one of my favorites. Anyway, the story. So, but a very interesting story. And of course, The Haunting of Bly Manor is supposed to be very good. It's based on an old 1898 horror novella. I think it's the second season to Haunting of Hill House. Right. So, and Haunting of Hill House was fantastic. So I'm sure The Haunting of Bly Manor will be very good as well.
Well, I'm only looking forward to one thing.
What's that?
October 30th.
Oh, October 30th.
October 30th is the only thing on television that I'm looking forward to, and that is season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Right.
So, this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
I have spoken. All right, so why we're talking about entertainment, look at this. A reboot of The Exorcist has been aimed for a 2021 release. Why would they reboot The Exorcist?
No need to remake that movie.
Well, it says that...
Can you imagine a politically correct Exorcist?
No, I can't.
They'll be like, the power of power compels you.
Well, it says that it was kind of buried in a report. It was just a mention that filmmaker Morgan Creek Entertainment is plotting to reboot The Exorcist, and they claim that it's funny they use the word reboot. It's not a remake. It's a reboot. So I don't know exactly what that means, because they do point out in this article that back here in 2015, they tweeted that, for the record, we will never attempt to remake The Exorcist. Yeah. So it's not a remake, it's a reboot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that means they're going to redo the whole story, or if they're going to try and pick it up where it left off, or anything like that.
Maybe it'll be starring, maybe it'll just be a movie about the father's, about his mother in hell.
And what she's doing down there. Yeah. I don't think that would be able to be really, that would have to definitely be like an HBO thing or something.
It could be interesting.
Well, because The Exorcist was really popular when it came out, and people there was public outcry. You wouldn't get that nowadays, but there was public outcry, and people would faint when they saw it and vomit, and
I just don't see them doing a movie with the Catholic priest in 2021.
Right.
That is, I don't know. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's so perfect. It's so scary. Mm-hmm. It's still scary.
Yeah, especially if you watch the version you've never seen or whatever with all the extra like creepy stuff in it.
Any version. Any version it's horrifying. And part 2 is horrifying just because of how stupid and terrible it is.
That's true.
Part 3 is great in my opinion. But I think because I watch like every exorcism movie you can imagine. One that I'll put up there with that is The Rite.
Yes, that's one of your favorites.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies, period.
It says in this article that the final movie, the Dominion movie, the prequel one, didn't do very well, but I actually kind of like that one.
Yeah, hey,
I thought it was pretty good.
I want to jump to the chat room here. Chris Martin just said, "I love Storm of the Century."
Yes,
dead on.
I love that one. Absolutely, thank you, Chris. I didn't even think of that one. I remember that one was great.
It was.
That one was really good,
especially when you live in Maine.
Everything that Stephen King writes makes so much more sense when you live in Maine.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
When I had to drive around Bangor every day and see all these places, it's just like, wow, it's really sad.
All right, well, I just have a couple more stories, some really super interesting and important things, like that I like to put on the end.
Yeah.
And this one is about some cops and villagers that fled from a businessman's goblins.
Well, there you go. You don't get much better title than that.
So it says the villagers and 2 police officers scurried for cover after they allegedly stumbled on goblins in a businessman's suitcase while searching for poison that allegedly led to the death of several people's dogs. So this businessman, and here's his name right here, Sanderson Bloom Shamuyasi.
That's easy. Yeah, Shamayashi.
Quite the name. Now, he does deny the accusations, but he is being accused of not only having goblins in his suitcase, but also digging a grave of one of his wife's relatives, or soon-to-be ex-wife, maybe. I'm not sure. But supposedly, the police went to where he was, and they were looking around in his apartment or his house or whatever, and they opened his suitcase, and they were surprised to see 2 beings. They said 2 strange beings, which they believed were goblins, were seen running for their dear lives, their dear little lives. And I don't know, this isn't the first time that he's been accused of any kind of bizarre incidents. Like, there's all sorts of bizarre things around him, and he just claims, I didn't do it. Supposedly he was digging up, like I said, he denies that he was found digging a grave, but supposedly they have, evidence that he was digging up his wife's grave. Wife's relative's graves, not his wife's grave, excuse me. But it's a very strange story. Very strange story. It sounds to me like he may be up to something.
You think?
And there may be some little supernatural chicanery in the background there, edging it on. Chicanery.
Yeah, I mean, it's not every day that you hear about goblins.
No, true. And for some police officers to see something running out of his suitcase.
Yeah, whatever it was, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if it wasn't goblins, it obviously wasn't something that they recognized right away.
Well, I mean, they ran out of his suitcase.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing in his suitcase either. It's very strange. I don't know. Very strange story. Last story, and I love this one because normally I have stories about, haunted places for sale or haunted places for rent. And this is a story about the police that were called on a man who keeps telling people coming to look at a house about how it's haunted. And he's running the people off.
Oh my God.
I love this. So this is just a little blip here from the Richmond Hills Police Department. It's just a little report saying that a woman who works for a rental property management company went to the Richmond Hills Police Department on September 1st to report that a man who lives next door to a property approached a couple looking to rent the house, stating that the house was haunted and that his parents had recently expired inside the home. Now, see, I think that's very conscientious of him to let them know, hey, my parents just died in that house.
Yeah.
So, be careful what you're renting. And the rental agency lady claimed that this is an ongoing issue and she would really like for it to stop because apparently she can't rent the house. I don't know if it's because it's haunted or because they're afraid that the neighbor's going to walk over and tell them strange things when they live there. The officer got in touch with the man and told him why And the man said, I'm not telling a lie. Both my parents did expire inside of this residence. And the officer told the man that the complaint concerns volunteering negative information to every prospect that came to view the residence. And he stated that he would not do it again. So she seemed satisfied with that. And to me, I think she should have just capitalized on that and advertised to people that would very much like to live in a haunted house.
Yeah, I mean,
instead of
there's a lot of them.
negative
well, when we were in the Black House, we had a couple of sightings of the woman in the bathroom downstairs.
We did,
and we didn't know yet until later on when our neighbor told us that, oh yeah, the former lady of the house, she passed away in the bathroom downstairs.
Yeah, see, that would have been handy information to know before we bought the house.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, the angel statue in the front yard and the man selling the house,
right.
It seems like
we
probably should have known.
It was such a freaking movie, man. It's just like, oh hey, here's the really good deal for the kids that really can't afford a house right now. Then we find
all the space you need.
Yeah, then find the perfect one, and it was just it was a dead woman in the basement.
I think she showed up because we got rid of that angel statue in the front yard.
Yeah, it was
very morbid.
I wasn't going to talk about it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's our house. We didn't have to have a cemetery-looking angel statue in the front yard if I didn't want one.
Yeah.
It was kind of right in the way, too. It was like right in the middle of the yard.
That's not the part it's the way we got rid of it.
Well, I wasn't going to mention that.
Well, no, you brought it up.
Yeah, but, you don't have to tell the whole story.
Stacy wanted rid of the angel statue because it was creepy.
It was
creepy. I'd had a couple of beers, and I was like, I'll get rid of it. So I go out and I start pushing it, trying to get rid of it gently, and I didn't realize that it was
solid concrete.
I didn't realize it was the statue of Baalbek.
Oh, wow.
So
it was heavy.
I pushed and pushed and pushed, and then got help, and eventually got the kids. And we were going to, my idea was to push it over and sort of roll it to safety. Now,
over the embankment and behind our house.
No. It had wings. So unfortunately, when the weight of it hit the ground, it no longer had two wings. So I eventually got it drug and pulled, and we had a big hill in the back that just dropped off into nothing. And I thought, well, this is a national forest, and it won't hurt anything. I'll just, store it over this hill. And pushed it over the hill, and it got... There's really big trees. There was the way it looked from the other side of the road it looked like there was an angel hanging.
It was in
the tree.
It was very interesting.
Yeah,
somebody got it. I don't know what happened to it. Somebody came by and took it, or rescued it, or did something with it.
They had two trucks and a pulley system, and rescued this angel.
How funny.
They also lived in that neighborhood, and we never were looked at the same again.
No, I'm pretty sure we were not the same as the rest of the neighborhood anyway. No cakes and pies were brought to our house. So yeah, you started it. Interesting. Well, I wasn't gonna. I'm just saying that we got rid of it. I wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
Tell the whole story.
So thank you for the news.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Another interesting little round of news there. Another little interesting round of story, and we appreciate everybody jumping in with us tonight. This will be a regular thing, man. Regular night. Thursday nights, it's a good night for a fight. So, we'll be bringing it to you. And normally it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the normal go time that we're going to be heading with. And, hopefully we won't have too many insanity things happen. So
this is true.
Nothing getting in our way.
It was kind of nice that we got to go a little bit later tonight because we don't normally get to see some of these people that live on the West Coast as often. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. But no, really appreciate it. And for all our Patreons, we'll be here in just a few minutes starting up our story after the story, where we're going to pretty much, well, not pretty much, we're going to cover a very important top 10 list this week. And that top 10 list is one that I've been working on, and it's the top 10 alien invasion movies that you need to watch before the alien invasion.
Exactly.
So hopefully you've seen them all, but it's my top 10. Fun little bit that we like to do for the patrons.
Yes.
But for my lovely wife, Stacy, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.